and welcome. Welcome, friends. Welcome, everybody. Hello. We're doing D&D. We're doing D&D a day late because myself and Lying, and once upon a time it would have been Elfie. However, Elfie caught the vid. Elfie caught the vid. Sadly. But myself and Lying, yesterday, we went down to London to lightly harass our MPs. Brief summary on that. Lying's MP was there. They've gotten to talk to their MP properly for the first time in 6 months. Which is, you know.
And not for lack of trying, let me tell you.
My MP was not there. My MP was apparently on a train back from France. For some fucking reason. God knows why. I don't know what the MP for Bishop Auckland had to do in France. But apparently. So that means that yesterday's D&D session was rescheduled to today. So today is D&D. Today is D&D and it's gonna be fun. It's going to be very fun indeed. So, joining us this evening, we have our wonderful players. The man who is likely to be the most useful person today, Ingvar Svan, as played by Lydia.
Useful.
Oh, very.
Be surprised.
Wings are a very important thing when magic stops working. It's Darren Warren, as played by Lying.
I'm having a crisis.
And the man who relies on far too many magic weapons, Prodigious Maximus, as played by Elfie.
You're going to see what these abs can really do.
Now, Zerigan isn't here yet, and I don't know where they are. They may be joining us later. I am not certain. However, with that being said, let us dive in to session 65 of Shadows of Sorcery. The Ashfold Plains. Who wants to do the recap?
I shall.
You shall! My
I
God! A volunteer for the first time in weeks! Take it away,
I
Alfie.
remember mostly what has happened. You're going to get the play with memory issues to do this. It's great. We were on a ship in space, but it was not a spaceship. It was a flying ship of the sky. Heading towards Necroneer. We had completed the murder mystery upon the ship with astoundingly mixed results.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of caught the bad guy, but also the bad guy wasn't that bad. And then we found some more bad guys and we beat them up real good. And then...
I had a piece of my soul eaten.
Oh yeah! You had a bit of your soul eaten. That was sexy. I think I had a bit of my soul eaten as well. That was also not very sexy. But, you know, we live and learn. And then we were like, hey, if we'd landed Necroneer, we're probably going to get absolutely decimated by the Carnifex. So let's not land in Necroneer. So we figure out a way and we land, we are dropped off a little bit before Necroneer. And all is well.
Just about. So, honestly, that was a pretty good summary of last session. I can give you a little bit more information that I didn't actually give you last session. The things that you fought are known as Vorsinian construct.
Yeah, vor is a sin.
So anyway, you land on the Ashfold Plains. There's a Tarask there. I'm
Fine,
joking.
we don't have any spells left to like
I'm
shoot
kidding.
to bounce off.
I'm
It's fine.
kidding.
I was like, okay,
I was gonna say,
That
can we
sounds bad.
ask him?
what's
No,
a...
I-
What's a
Do you know what
Tarask?
the Tarask is?
You want to know what a
No, I was
Tarask
going-
is?
No, I was gonna say, can we Tarask him, as in harass him?
I also don't know what a Tarask is.
You don't know what a Tarask is. Okay. Very well.
It's a giant French monster that is ridiculously dangerous in D&D.
It's French, of course it's dangerous.
It's like a quintessential campaign-eating terror.
Let's see if I
I know about the ones with the eyes.
What, the beholders?
Beholders.
There does not seem to be a Tarask mini.
I should open Tailspire.
Yeah,
have
that would be useful, wouldn't it?
Look, I've got COVID brain fog. It's not been going very well.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Well, image of the Tarask in the channel chat there.
Gimme. Oi, spiky boy. Oi, baby.
Yeah. Tarask,
Oh, God,
basically think a really big dinosaur.
A
Like,
With a character that
Insanely big.
reflects spells.
Yeah.
So
And
imagine if
regeneration
Ursula-
so high that you need wish to kill it. Or rather, you need to beat it into unconsciousness, then use wish to kill it.
It's fun. It's a fun time. It is a fun time. Okay. So, basic things first. The things that you fought on the airship are known as Vorsinian constructs. Vorsinian constructs are... they're kind of... How do I put this? They are a mix of technology and magic. In that they are, as Elfie found out, they are undead. They have mechanical parts. They have little bits and pieces of strange poisons flowing through their veins, etc., etc. You defeated 2 of them. You only got part of your health back, though. I will say, before the events of today, everyone has had a long rest. So you can all mark that. You all managed to get a long rest. The ship's captain does manage to... well, the ship's captain, Regano Krail, does lower to about 500 feet. Like, the 4 of you are standing at the balustrade of the ship, staring down at this vast expanse of grey. Out below you stretch the Ashfold Plains, a vast desert of some sort, but it's not quite a desert. It's what happens when several volcanoes erupt simultaneously over the top of a desert. I would like everybody to roll me a history check. See how much you know about this place. And the wind is whistling quite violently today as Captain Krail turns to you all and goes, "This is as low as I can get. Look, you're gonna have to find a way to get yourselves off the ship. I can't go any further down."
Can you let me into the thing so I can roll?
Yes.
That's a 15.
Summon player to board.
14.
Yeah. 15, 14, and LP.
Meh. Hang on.
Meh.
It's not letting me. I'm.
Where does an Elfie fall in the numerology charts? Is it higher than 15?
Sorry, I might need to. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, the
History.
Yeah.
Fuck. History. -1. Let's go, baby. That's an 18 for some fucking reason.
Holy shit.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
The person with a negative got the highest. Okay.
So, Darren, you do not know much about the Ashfold Plains. You've studied a lot of different places. The Ashfold is not one of the places that you have put too much thought into. It doesn't contain all that much stuff that you would really be aware of. Okay. Ingvar, you do know a bit about the Ashfold Plains. One of the biggest parts of the Ashfold Plains that you know about is that this area is devoid of magic. There is none. It is a magical dead zone. The entirety of the Ashfold Plains, like the closer you get to the center, the higher level magics stop working completely. Out near the edges, spell levels like 1 or 2, they stop working, but near the center, you can try and cast a 9th level spell. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It is inhabited. There are a couple of villages. There's one relatively near the center. There's a few settlements out there and around that don't really have names. The Ashfold Plains are home to the town of Ashfold. That is sort of near the center of the plains themselves. But again, it's a place without magic, so it's very different to the rest of Rathan. And you know that there are a few places around like the world that are these complete magical dead zones. You're not really sure why it's like this, but you, Prod, you do know why this place is like this. Because it's partially related to your god. So, little bit of world history here. In the world of Rathan, there have been multiple cataclysms and multiple wars fought during those cataclysms. The first cataclysm was what led to the creation of the Abyssal Gate, the locking away of the Titans Primordial, and the ascension of the first gods. And that didn't impact this area too much, but as you look down, you do see these massive, at first you think are like rock formations that are spiking their way out of the terrain. And then you look closer and you realize these aren't rock formations, these are weapons. Warhammers, axes, giant stone swords, battle axes, what looks like maybe even a flail that has been roughly hewn from the rock. All of these massive weapons, easily 3 to 4 stories tall, like 60 meters in length, are just scattered across the plains. And these have been here since time immemorial. They were here, they were laid here by the felled primordials who were locked behind the Abyssal Gate. During the second cataclysm, however, this place became an experimentation zone for mages. Mages trying to harness divine power. And at the end of all this conflict and war, the gods locked themselves behind the divine gate, pulling away divinity as a power source to only those who they chose could wield it. Thusly clerics and paladins and the like. But mages have a tendency to be arrogant. And the zones of their experimentation were so vast and complex that you can't just disassemble them. So Callist, in her anger, perhaps, maybe, saw these zones of experimentation that these mages had constructed, these heinous abominations, these places where all magic was corrupt and twisted. And she took it into herself. These places of magical corruption. She took the magic away and created these magical dead zones where no magic can exist, where no one is allowed to wield the power that she is patron of, regardless of who they are or why they're there. And that is what the Ashfold Plains are. They are this major magical dead zone. One of several that you know of, Prod, that your god created in anger after the mages abused the powers of divinity.
Fuck yeah! This has actually been on my pilgrimage wish list for a while. Other than that, there's like this giant theatre down south somewhere where like everybody's naked all the time. It's great. But this was like right after that. This is really important to Callist. Rod starts chatting
Thanks for that,
about the
Harvey.
Ashfold Plains.
Thanks for that lore drop that I now have to include somewhere in the south.
Somewhere in the south.
Mm-hmm.
Look, he's a frat boy. I can't. Prod starts banging on about the history of this place, but in the very Prod way, where he's mostly talking about how there was some, like, he adds sex into it somehow. Like, there's some sex-crazed mages who are here, and Callist was dead jealous and hated it all, and she wanted to keep all of the cool sexiness for herself, so she kind of, like, took all the magic in, that kind of stuff.
Okay. So,
Just so everyone else has the context.
order of operations here. We know that I know that the librarian is going to Dimension Door down. As for the rest of you, and I know that the librarian can take one person with them. As for the rest of you, how are you guys getting down?
Boat.
Manually.
Dragon.
Can I fit on? Can either of you carry me? I don't have wings.
Well, the librarian
a
can
strength
take
of 11.
one person with them.
Oh, then that'd be me.
Yeah. Okay. So,
What about the guy?
the guy?
There's a guy with
Yeah,
us.
that's the guy we're getting off the ship. The reason we're doing all this.
Oh, yeah, no. If I recall correctly, last session we figured out Darren was gonna. No, it was gonna be Darren was going to go down on their own. Prod was going to be lifted down by Chasma, with Ingvar riding Chasma, and then the guy was going to be taken with the librarian down by Dimension Door.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Perfect.
Effort.
I'm going to quickly check in with Zerion. Give me a second. Because it is now an hour after we're due to start, and they're not here yet. And this is kind of important. So I'm going to give them a phone call. Because I can do that.
Yay. So I'm EP, chat, if you can't tell.
Hi, chat. I'm eating chicken. What you doing?
Wishing I had chicken.
Wish I could go back to a nap. I've napped for like an hour and a half before streaming. I'm still sleepy.
That's how it goes. Unfortunately.
Also, my
Oh.
music died again.
Huh?
Morley's chicken is banging. What's your
No
favorite
answer?
chicken
No
place?
answer. Person you've called is not available.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Okay, that's a little worrying.
Do you think? Yeah.
Smidge.
When was the last time anyone talked to them?
I mean,
Last
for me,
session.
yeah, it would have been last session. Actually, no, I talked to them slightly. Yeah, last time I talked to them would have been the 16th of June. It would have been 10 days ago.
Okay.
They say they're away on Discord, which means their computer must be on.
Unless they're just in a dead zone for a signal. Because my phone does that a lot.
Maybe.
Hmm.
Usually they...
Hmm.
Hmm.
Hmm. Because
Little
Erin
worrying.
was at the end of the last session when we mentioned it would be a Thursday.
yeah, we all agreed to do it today. Like, Zarian was good with today. So...
Hmm.
It might be that they join in an hour going, fuck, I forgot!
Okay.
And if so, you can punish them, DM. You are allowed.
No, but the thing is, I'm not worried about them making the session. I am more worried about the fact that they're not picking up their phone, which isn't normal for them. They're usually pretty good with... Okay. If they don't show up for the session, I will call them later and I'll find out if something's wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
good plans.
at any rate, now, since I have been very busy this week, I haven't actually managed to put together a board for the Ashfold Plains. However, what I can say is that there is an easy way to simulate what the Ashfold Plains looks like.
Blank ass map.
I mean, yes and no. Hold on. Let me bring your minis into this world. Librarian, Rod, the Observer, Kazuma, Ingvar, Darren, oh, that's everyone. Okay. Board atmosphere. Vertical fog. Ooh. Little bright. And then post effect. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and I shall summon you all to this board.
Oh.
Welcome to the Ashfold Plains in the quickest way I can make them.
Ah, yes. Mosaic floor. That's the word I'm looking for there.
I'm looking rosy. Didn't know I had that much to drink last night.
I mean, we're using
I probably did have that much to drink.
We're using the post effect, which is isolated reds, which basically makes everything else grey, but highlights all the reds. Which
That one is very red.
was originally what I was planning to use for the murder mystery, but it doesn't quite work in that atmosphere. So, because Zerion's not here, I'm gonna make this less of an issue than I did before. I had planned anyway. Okay. So, Darren, Prod, Lydia, you all alight in the middle of this blank expanse of nothingness. It is a little unsettling, honestly. There is so much, like, you can see the horizon line in the distance, in, like, multiple distances. Like, maybe, like, 8 to 10 miles in the distance, you can see the edge of a tree. Like, just a single tree. And occasionally breaking up this landscape, you see these massive, colossal rock formations that are these primordial titan weapons that have been left scattered across this former battlefield, essentially. But for the most part, this is what it looks like. A flat, or mostly flat as far as you can tell, expanse of grey dust. As if the forests that once had been vibrant in this area have been burnt to the ground. And then those coals have been charred and smeared across the terrain. You know,
Well, that
How am
ain't unsettling.
I feeling around here? How am I feeling around here?
I mean, it's creepy. The place does feel, like, unsettling in a way that you can't quite describe. But it's mostly in that sort of like, there's nothing here to exist, essentially. It's like there's no life, and, like, aside from, like, scattered trees and a couple of rocks, it's empty, and that void of, like, nothingness feels wrong. Like, you
Am I
don't.
able to pick anything up with my eyes at all?
What do you mean?
Like,
just
if I
in
look
general?
around, but my eyes can detect, like, magic. Can I see anything? Are my eyes even okay?
I mean, you look around and it's like you realize that as you're looking at your party members, as, like, you're looking at your friends around here, you look at each of them in turn, you notice that all the magical items, all of their glows have vanished. All the magic items that you have on your persons, all of their, like, magical auras have just dissipated entirely. Prod. As you descend in Kazuma's claws to the Ashfold plains, you feel your armor start to shiver.
I gently stroke
before
shoulder.
it kind of just weighs. When you wear your armor, usually it feels relatively light. But here, it feels heavy. Like the black iron plate that it actually is. All magical effects for everyone here, on all your items, are nullified. You can still attune and unattune as you would normally, but any magical effects that would usually help you in combat or talking to each other or anything like that, none of it works.
Right. Question.
Mm-hmm.
Can I still chat to my armor, or is it silent?
It's there. Like, what do you ask?
No, I'm just like, you still kicking? It's pretty much my question.
The slightest whisper comes through, but it sounds like someone is trying to whisper to you from the end of a long, dark hallway. And it sounds so quiet that it's almost inaudible. If you didn't know what you were listening for, you don't think you would have heard it at all.
Yeah.
This place is... It is unpleasantly, like, just empty. It feels so devoid of life in general. There's nothing. I would like one of you to make a nature check.
It's got the biggest nature.
Probably you, not me.
Probably you, but mine's +6 for the record.
Mine's +1.
Huh.
Mine's -1, so...
Well, me it is, I guess, but my dice rolls are also notoriously terrible.
And one of you can give him advantage if you...
Yeah, we'll do advantage.
Ranger, give them an advantage. Oh.
Okay. See. 9 versus 13. 13 is the pick. What's going on with the librarian's observer?
That's a good point. As the librarian and, hold on, did I pull them in?
MacGuffin character from the last arc.
Fucking hell. I need to pull up my notes real quick.
I know the name began with an E, but that's about it, all I can remember. Baby Goop.
Yeah. I can't remember his name, and my brain is kind of fried at the moment. As your traveling companion, and the librarian step through the dimensional doorway that holds for like a second. And as soon as the librarian steps through and your traveling companion step through, whereas it would usually be like shimmering there for several seconds, it just rips apart. It's like watching magic being eaten, essentially. And the observer that the librarian carries around sometimes, You watch as it slowly starts to disintegrate into grey, lifeless dust.
Oh. Oh dear.
Small bits of metal fall from the librarian's palm as this little mechanical device basically falls apart without the magic to sustain it.
I go up to the librarian and just be like, "You're right, bud," and ask if he wants to take a ride on my shoulder or piggyback or something, because I kind of know that he's like really magical and would probably be having a bad time right now.
You all watch as the librarian sort of staggers a little in this space. Their complexion shifting between the two before it kind of settles into this strange combination of both the blue-skinned elven form and this red-haired, speckled man. Like, there's splotches of both up their skin, and they're swaying on their feet. Glasses slightly askew as they look around sort of uncomprehendingly, as if they can't really place where they are. As if...
Someone might want to catch him before he faints.
Yeah, I just
Let's
bodily have him up
drape
over
them over Kazuma for the time being.
Yeah, riding
Okay,
Kazuma.
so you drape the librarian over Kazuma for the time being, as their exposure to this space seems to have affected them worse than the rest of you. It is, and the rest of you are starting to realize that there are some things that you cannot feel in this place. For example, Prod, your armor feels heavier, but also the bandages around your arms feel looser, their inscriptions cold. The feeling of your god's divinity is so much fainter in this space than it is anywhere else.
I don't like it.
Ingvar, you feel mostly fine, actually. The bond to Kazuma feels a little weaker than usual. Like, you can still feel them. Mental connection is still there. It's just very faint.
Yeah, luckily, even though the dragon is magical, he's also flesh and blood.
Yeah. Very, very much so. You get the feeling that if you attempted to, you would not be able to transform Kazuma into his bracelet for easy carry, as it were. But other than that, he seems to be mostly fine. Sniffing the ground and snorting and pawing at it and looking not particularly happy, but, you know, alive.
Give the poor thing a pat on the nose.
Darren, you started to realize that as you try and cast something, all the magic that you feel like you could summon before is just absent completely. Vacance. It feels like there's a small part of you that has disappeared entirely. That has been stolen, in fact.
Sad dragon noise. So just imagine I'm playing a sad dragon noise.
Okay, so as you're all standing around, it is a very strange place to be. It is unlike any place that you have been before, essentially. Like, every place that you have formerly been to, it has nowhere near this amount of, like, intensely creepy vibes, essentially. And Fedin, your traveling companion, is looking around like, ugh. I don't like this place. This place creeps me out.
Yeah, this place is kind of fucked.
Yeah, best not hang around.
I'm feeling really weird here. Anyone see which direction the airship was going?
You all look up, and like 500 feet above you and rising rapidly in a sort of western direction, northwestern direction, you can see the dawn's light as it speeds away so much faster than you could travel.
That direction, I assume. That's northwest, right.
Presumably that's the direction to Necronir, then.
Well, Necronir is mostly northwest from where we were traveling, so probably. Approach on foot. Do you think... does anyone here have a sense of where, like, the middle of this stuff is? Like, the worst bit, and can we avoid it? Because I think if we go fully into the no magic zone, then I think our dear librarian might pass out.
I think I might, honestly.
Does anyone... I'm asking librarian as well. Oh no, investigation. Anyone with a high investigation, can you roll and see where the center is? Of the non-magic
I can
space.
work out.
And we can try and navigate a path around that center.
Sure. Go for it.
Maybe helping me out
Unless
on
we've
this,
been
or-
dropped off right in the middle of the non-magic space, in which case,
That'd be very inconvenient, wouldn't it? Anyone help? Anyone? Ingvar, can you give me a hand trying to triangulate where we need to avoid?
Yeah, sure.
Roll me roll me an investigation
28.
check. 28?
Nice.
Okay. So, you think you don't really have a understanding of where the edges of this place are, right? It's a very big space. Finding the center would require you to know where it begins and ends. But you recall the captain talking about essentially like where in the Ashfold they were and where like Necronir would be in relation to that and so on and so forth. There's a few small bits and pieces that eventually you're like, oh, okay, that is that. I mean, it's not exactly a marker, but it's enough to navigate by to a certain degree. The center of the Ashfold Plains is north of you, probably relatively directly. You know that, and you can just about spy on the edge of the horizon a small village that, as far as you're aware, is the actual town of Ashfold. That is relatively far in the distance, but is probably reachable maybe before nightfall.
I would not want to be out here during nightfall. Let's head for there.
I mean, what kind of people live in a place like this, though?
Well,
Non-magical
Presumably-
people?
non-magical people. I'm gonna do the thing. How much of a threat could non-magical people be?
We're jinxed.
On a good day, none to us. This is not a good day.
I mean, I think we'll be okay. We're not a threat to them, if that makes any difference.
Oh, that makes me feel greatly comforted.
I mean, we have money.
But we should probably find shelter at the very least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just try, everyone try
We
not
will
to move
find an
northwards,
old
so we
lady
should be
on the edge
relatively
of
okay.
town and sleep in her barn. I feel like that would be ideal.
I did that a few times on the road, but never with permission.
If you get permission, they'll like bring you like biscuits and stuff.
I wasn't interested in people knowing I was there. Right. Village Woods, off we go.
Village Woods.
Okay. Roll me a group survival check.
Help. Guessing we don't get advantage on this one.
Nope. It's an evens out sort of situation here.
16.
Why did that roll as a dragon? 12.
Well,
Kazma's just trying to help.
He's being a good boy.
okay, so 16, 12, and... Elfie?
What are we rolling?
Survival. On the list.
Sorry. Eh. 17.
17. Okay, that's a relatively okay sort of situation. You all start trekking northwest, heading towards the little group of houses scattered about that you can see in the distance. It takes you the better part of 4 hours to get there. And you're starting to realize why the Ashfold Plains are the way they are, and why people have a tendency to avoid them. It's because distance here, just because you can see it on the horizon, does not make it close. And it takes a while. It takes a while of trekking your way through this dusty, grimy terrain, occasionally getting close to one of these massive war weapons. That as you get closer to, you realize they're all made of this, like, obsidian black stone that has, as if they've just been carved out of the side of a mountain.
Can I do the annoying tourist thing and go up to one and then like chisel off a tiny bit of stone from one and be like, I've got a stone from one of the swords, and then hide it?
Sure.
I do that.
Okay.
Because you know how, like, fuckers who go to, like, Pompeii and stuff, like, just take a rock and you're like, dude, that's history.
Yes.
Prod does that.
Okay. Okay. Eventually
Is anyone else concerned that all of the buildings in this town are on stilts?
Eventually you
That
all
feels
arrive
indicative of the fact that we shouldn't be on this floor.
in at the Ashfold, at the town of Ashfold. It is, as far as any of you are aware, the largest settlement in the Ashfold Plains. Most other places in the Ashfold Plains are just little single hamlets of 1 to 2 houses, families that have come out here to escape from something or other. You all look around. It's as you all arrive, it's getting to that sort of mid-evening. You can see the glow of the sun on the horizon is slowly setting. And as you get to the town of Ashfold, you, Darren, you look further northwest, and you can see, as you sort of arrived at the town of Ashfold, you can see this sort of crooked spire in the distance. Maybe a good 6 days' travel out from here. And you realize, as you also see this speck in the distance heading towards it, you realize that's Necronir. And it looks so far away that the only thing you can really see is this slight hill and then this crooked spire at the top of it.
Well, at least we are unlikely to get lost getting to Necronir.
That's true. Good silver lining.
Everything here is a silver lining.
Enter into Ashfold. It's a bit of a ghost town. There's not many people out and about, as far as you can see. There's like maybe 1 or 2 general inhabitants that you can see, and none of them look particularly friendly. Ragged clothing, long fingernails, rusty knives, sallow skin. Not in an unpleasant way, just in a, they've been here for a long time, and this is where they live, but it is not an easy living, essentially. It is not an easy living in the slightest. It is getting dark. What do you all want to do?
Locate an inn or a tavern.
The odds there's an inn or a tavern here. How many people do you think come through?
There's got to be some. Necronir's nearby.
Yeah, but no one's coming here.
Oh,
They were on
just
an
check.
airship. We were on an airship going there. I mean, no one's walking through here.
I
Surely.
mean, a mage who's in a lot of trouble would probably come here. So I
Can't
think
be
there's...
that many of them, surely, though.
Let's just check. Can I look around to see if there's a place to stay?
Sure. Roll me an investigation check. Actually, no, you don't need to do that. This place is so small. This place is so very small. You look around and you come to the realization that there is one place in town that is big enough to be considered an inn of some sort. And it is the only one that has like a creaky wooden sign hanging out the front of it. You look around, and realistically, it is the only place that remotely could be considered as an inn. The inn itself is, well, you're not really sure if you could consider it an inn, to be quite honest. But what it is called this prep for this session was not on the forefront of my mind. It is called the Dust Bunny.
Yay!
Hey.
and it seems to be one of the larger buildings in town. It seems to be both inn and sort of combination of sleeping place, tavern, commerce, generally little store stuff, maybe some sleeping areas. It's a bit of a mix of things, but it definitely seems to have a bar.
Well, if it's got something to drink, I intend to.
Just drink until we pass out under a table. There's your in for the night.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you all step up to the inn. Entering... It is dingy, dismally lit. That sort of effusive grey atmosphere seems to extend into the building itself. And there's a few candles lit, but they don't provide all that much light visually. You look around and there's one, maybe two patrons in here, if that, like, little bundle of rags in the corner sitting on a stool can be considered a patron. And there's a bartender who is polishing a mug with an equally dusty, filthy cloth. It doesn't seem like they get many
roll
visitors.
perception just to see if I can ascertain a little bit more information about whoever's here. And if that pile of rags is alive, I guess.
Okay.
Yep. 17.
17. I mean, it is very much just these three people, and you're relatively certain that is a person of some sort below that pile of rags in the corner. It shuffles occasionally, and you do see a little gnarled hand pull back a mug from the table, and you hear slurping sounds, and then it puts it back. You don't know what type of creature it would be, but it seems to enjoy alcohol. So, you know. There's a halfling with a hammer at his side near to the entrance, and then the bartender, who looks over at you guys once, shakes his head and looks back down and just keeps polishing. Not the
They
friendliest
don't seem very
place.
friendly.
Yeah, I think that's okay. We can survive with vaguely unfriendly folks.
Usually.
Who's got the most persuasion/charisma, baby? Because it ain't me. You're gonna talk to them.
Don't look at me. Darren?
Well, okay.
Darren, you go up. I will back you up. I'm back here.
You have your work cut out for you, Prod. Right. I will walk up to the barman and say, hey, probably a long shot, but do you happen to have some empty rooms?
Or just the one. That's fine.
The empty rooms, plural.
The barman looks at you both and goes, well, I've got 2 rooms you can do.
How much?
You got any coin?
Sure we can rub some coppers together. How much is it?
Ugh. If you can scrounge 9 coppers each, you can have the rooms.
How about 10 each, and we just don't tell anyone we've been round?
You see the barman's eyebrow raised slightly. Silver piece for each of you. right? Sure. And he puts a greasy-looking palm out.
Poor Silver. Like, I like do. You know how frat boys like do the thing where they shake hands and they like put the money in. Yeah, he does that. Prod does that.
Okay.
I don't know what that's called.
Roll me a
Like,
persuasion check real quick.
Me?
Yep.
I'm such a persuady man. I can do this. That's a 19, baby.
Hey, pretty good,
Not bad.
pretty good.
Oh.
The barman it doesn't even give you keys or anything, just directs you to, like, the stairs and says, rooms are upstairs. You can make your own way there. There's no one else
Okay.
here. Except
Cheers.
the room at the end. That one's occupied.
Aye, aye.
Any liquor around here? Something that you could use to light something on fire, preferably.
You don't want fire here. Bad idea. Candles are a
Okay,
risk.
fine. Something that could obliterate the last few days of my memory. Is that better? Something hard.
Okay, I see. Well, we've got some of this, and he pulls out this brown glass bottle, uncorks it with a pop, and pours out a shot glass of this foul-smelling clear liquid.
Yeah, you're on your own, mate. While leaving Darren to do whatever he's gonna do, I sort of shimmy everyone upstairs, apart from Darren, just to try and get us all out of the collective eyesight of this town.
Okie dokie. The librarian and yourself and... What are you doing, Ingvar?
Following Prod upstairs, I guess. Man's not in the mood for drinking.
Okie dokie. So, you lay down the librarian in one of the beds. You note that, like, there are 4 rooms in here. You guys have basically paid for 2, so like you can have 2 for one for every 2 of you. How are you splitting yourselves up?
Who wants to protect the librarian? I will happily do so. If everyone else wants to, I'll be staying up, just making sure he's okay because he doesn't seem coherent at all. And I have healing magic sometimes, not here. I have done a course in first aid.
Okay. So you and
That's all.
Darren, and then Arcus and Prod. Ingvar, I think, is our layout here. Darren,
Yeah.
how are what are you gonna do about that drink? Hmm?
Well, the becoming thing would be to drink it, I suppose.
I mean, the bartender is holding out a greasy palm, while with the other hand he's holding on to like this little metal shot glass type thing.
What's the going wage on those?
Big spender like yourself. 5 copper.
That wasn't my palm you grabbed from.
Don't get many new people out here. Might as well ring you while I can.
Oh, ring away. I'm gonna hand him one of the gold chunks.
Gold.
Yep.
Well, go and
Or
hand
one,
him
one of the... Okay, I'm gonna hand him one of the chunks of metal that I've drooled on over the nights. Since I'm still carrying those.
Okay, so as a note, one of those chunks is worth about 20 gold, right?
Yep.
He's asked for
Yeah, it could be a entire
5
bar.
copper Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know.
Okay. You slam this chunk of metal down on the counter, and the bartender's eyes go wide, looking at it, and goes. He picks it
Get
up.
yourself a new sign and me the rest of that bottle.
Wordlessly, he just pushes the bottle to you, is just looking at this chunk of metal that you've just slammed down. He, like, licks it for a second, and his eyes get even wider, like, because there's at least one platinum piece in here that got melted with, like, the 10 gold pieces, and he's just, like, he just pushes the whole bottle to you, this, like, sort of plump, rounded brown bottle, and immediately just, you see him just walk off into a back room, with this piece of metal. He just leaves the bar to you, basically.
Sounds like it paid for the entire thing.
1 gold is 5 silver, right?
1 gold
No,
is
one-
10 silver.
1 gold is 10 silver.
One copper is 1 silver is 10 copper. So
Okay. Sorry, I just needed to do. And then, wait,
Alright, I'm gonna start drinking.
1 silver each for the night. There's 5 of us. So, does Kazma count as a human?
no.
Okay. So there's 5 of us. So there's 20.
Economics,
hard.
yay!
It's fine. I got it. I did it.
Okay.
So that
Realistically,
guy.
there aren't a whole ton of places that I could use these lumps as currency, so I might as well.
I mean, most people would probably take it.
Yeah. You don't know. Okay. So yeah, you guys settle in for the night. You have been informed that open flames are a bad idea on the Ashfold. No idea why.
Open what?
Open flames. So yeah, you guys settle in. Ah, good. Ah, I see.
From Zarian.
From Zarian.
Okay.
Elfie, have you accidentally given Zarian the vid?
Oh no!
No!
We don't know if it's the vid, but he is apparently quite ill. So
Oh dear.
Aw.
there
I
is
have-
No.
there is a non-zero chance that Zarian also has the vid.
Oh,
Yeah.
They dare say this new vein is very contagious.
And apparently they completely forgot that we moved the session. So
Ah, well, understandable circumstances.
there's that.
I mean, so real Zarion is the reflection of librarian in the sense of
in the sense
not
that they are
particularly
both
coherent,
ill.
very ill.
Yes.
Oh dear.
Okay.
Wishing them all the best.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Oh well. Okay, so you all settle in for a okay night of sleep. It's not the most pleasant thing. You start to realize that the dust that is outside isn't just outside, it is pervasive. There is dust everywhere. Regardless of where you try to sleep, you wake up and there's dust coating your eyelids. If you're, like, walking around, even inside, you realize that there's dust across the floor, there's dust in the cracks between the windows. This sort of grey, silt-like substance is basically everywhere. And it is not the most pleasant thing.
I have a feeling it's flammable.
In the middle of the night, you hear, like, in the middle of the night, do you guys have, hold on, something. In the middle of the night,
set up alarm for us.
What?
The librarian would usually set up alarm for us.
Okay, so, Prod, in the middle of the night, you kind of feel like you get up. It's like this place isn't conducive to good sleep, so you get up and you go outside to sort of like just take in a little bit of what little fresh air there might be in this place. You look around and you see in the distance, maybe a good 300 feet, 400 feet out, you see this little light. It's like walking, bobbing maybe across the Ashfold towards the town. And as you watch, you feel, at first you feel like, oh, I might be hungry, I stomach rumbling. And then the rumble gets heavier, deeper. Then you realize it's not your stomach, it's the wooden supports of the building you're in are rumbling. And you realize it's not just the wooden supports, it's the terrain below you. And you watch that little open flame light out in the middle of nowhere. Suddenly, something crests from underneath. That little light is suddenly outlining this large mound that's behind it. All of a sudden, something overcomes it, submerges it, takes it under, and then the world is flat again and empty. The rumbling stops.
Yeah, flame's a bad idea. Okay. I sort of try and make note of the rough whereabouts of that particular instance happened with in mind to sort of maybe go investigate tomorrow.
You can see like a few different landmarks, and like you know that distance is kinda fucky in this place, but you look at it, you can kinda place where it would have been. Okay. In the morning, 3 of you wake up. Librarian still seems to be having an awful time of it. You notice that there's this sheen of sweat that is dripping off their face, but they don't seem conscious, but they don't seem any worse than that. They're not, like, as far as, actually, if one of you wants to do medicine check.
Hang on, what's everyone's medicine?
+3.
Oh, you do it.
Is yours negative?
No, mine's just 0, which is weird because I thought I had something in it. Oh well.
Okay.
Ah!
Ooh.
That's a 22.
He's got the vid. No,
you diagnosed COVID.
Oh shit.
The librarian seems to be suffering from essentially magic withdrawal symptoms.
Oh, poor thing.
Because of the way that their being is so terminally connected to magic as a both control force and as part of their life force, being so disconnected from magic is basically causing their body to operate in low power mode, which is basically shutting down most of their, like, high complexity functions.
Oh dear.
So, with that in mind, they're not at, like, risk of dying, but it's gonna take a while for them to acclimate to this place, basically.
Oh dear. Ingvar just kind of passes this all on to the others. Sort of thing.
Okay.
I'm still making my way through that bottle.
Okay, roll me Constitution check.
5.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Roll me a d6.
Yep. 4.
The last 4 days of your life become a hazy, blurry mess.
Oh, that cheered me right up.
You also, since you spent most of the night drinking, take a point of exhaustion.
When Prod sees you in the morning, can we have a little RP, please?
So, you walk down into the bar area where you see Darren is still sat at the same table that he was sat at the night before, still drinking the same bottle that he was drinking the night before. The
How big
bowl
is
of
that
rags in the
bottle?
corner seems to
Big
have
enough.
passed out under a stool. The halfling seems to have gone, and the bartender is sitting there, not smiling, but he looks happier than he has in maybe 20 years. So,
So, good day. I...
Well, good day for the bartender.
Did you not go to bed at all?
This bottle looked dreadfully lonely. I thought I'd keep it. I thought I'd keep it company.
Okay. Well, whatever, mate. Like, okay. I mean, it's fine if you wanna drink. I don't have a problem with that. It's just, you know, the librarian's kind of just not in the best state, and I don't know, none of us have our magic, and I just feel like being drunk right now might be a bit of a bad play.
Story of my life, apparently.
Alright, whatever, man. Well,
The librarian has stared down very rough things and been totally fine. No problem. I don't expect that'll be a much issue for him. Was there a rumbling last night, or was that
yeah.
just the alcohol? Okay.
There was a rumbling. There was a light out in the sand, and I think it got eaten by the sand. It was weird. I think I know where it was. I was...
That explains why everything's on stilts, I guess.
Are you gonna be able to sober up by the time that we get into trouble, or are you gonna just...
We'll see what happens with that bridge when we come to it. I don't know how stocked up this place is.
Because I want to get going. If we stay here too long, I just feel like, firstly, we'll get jumped. Not like we can't handle ourselves, but we just can handle ourselves a bit less.
Does kind of feel like a little bit of my soul's been turned off here, I'll give you that much.
Yeah. I don't like not being able to...
Or maybe that was just the airship ride. I don't know.
We need to get somewhere where we can get our magic back, to be quite simple with you.
I think
I know
we'll just
that
get
this is-
trails down the stairs.
Hey, Ingvar, how you feeling?
Could be worse, could be better. I would rather we get out of this place before the librarian gets any worse. He's not
Yeah.
doing great.
Are they going to get worse?
Maybe.
Maybe?
We
The
don't know.
man is suffering from magic withdrawal, and withdrawals typically get worse before they get better.
I don't want my friend to be sick.
Gerald, behind the bar. What's the fastest way out of here to Necronair? Big spire in the distance.
Oh, you don't want to go there. Fucking
Don't have
first
much
city.
say in the matter. No,
What?
none of the chip chat. Gerald, just give us the directions.
Hey, be nice.
Fastest way. Well, I mean, if you want to walk it, just straight northwest. Fastest way to get to Necroneer. You're not walking it. And probably a dust sled. But the only dust sled we have is used for supply runs. And, well, not in the best condition.
If it's
And
better
I'm
than
guessing
no
if we took it, then the town would starve, probably.
No, we wouldn't starve. No. There's not enough of us left to starve, really. I mean, if one of you took the dust sled, we'd send someone with you to bring it back.
Right.
No, the main problem with the dust sled is, it's kinda, what's the polite way of saying it? Hooked, I guess. Last time we took it out, one of the, I guess you wouldn't really know what that is. You're not from around here. Okay. Under the sand, there's what we call, dust eels that like to, they're attracted to sources of warmth. Warm bodies, open flames, that sort of thing. That's why the town is on stilts, you see. Long ago, the town was nice little stone houses and stuff, but dust eels used to come up through the floor and snatch people. So we started building on stilts. Yeah. But problem is, last time we took the sled out, we got one of the runners got bitten and a massive bite taken out of it by one of these eels. So it doesn't run so well anymore. To keep away from the eels, the sled needs to run like quick and quiet, see? But because of the runners being broken, it means that it attracts more attention. See what I mean? Can you see what I'm getting at?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we get the picture here.
Yeah.
Is there any way we could fix it, perhaps?
Well, our usual mending supply is kind of out cold at the moment.
Well, I mean, it's... Okay, so the slipperiest substance that's strong enough to act as the runners for the sled is the, Okay, you've seen those massive hunks of rock, those that look like giant weapons?
Yeah.
Well, our stonemason, back when we had a stonemason, he carved these runners out of that rock. And it's a tedious and time-consuming process, but it's the best kind of substance that's not easily breakable and is slippery enough to run across the sand with dust with little trouble. Problem is, pretty much nobody knows how to work the stuff anymore. It's a complicated substance, apparently.
Alright, I'll give it a look.
Longest lived person is, Gale, but Gale was here when they were made, but she doesn't know how they were made. She just knows about the stonemason who made them.
Well, never send a human to do a dwarf's work. Where's
You're
the
a
nearest?
strange-looking dwarf.
Get that a lot. Where's the nearest thing to grab rock elf?
No, nearest Titan weapon would be a couple of 100 feet outside of town. And you know the one he's talking about. There's this massive sword blade that has been jammed into the ground like 100 feet to the south of town. You walked past it as you were coming in.
This really sounds like a job for the librarian. Who knows how to technically put things together. So let's go look at the sled before we try and fix the sled. So we go look at the sled before we try and fix it.
Makes sense.
So the sled is in the other large building, sort of on the other side of town from where you are.
How's it looking?
It's seen better days is the easiest way to describe it. Like this piece of, I guess you could say, engineering is like very much once upon a time it would have been like this really nice carriage that's been converted. Now it's like shoddy. It's had planks hammered into it over time to repair holes. It's got this like ratted, rotten canvas cover over the top. It's definitely seen better days, and you can see these long obsidian running like sled runners that are underneath, and one of them just has like halfway through it has this massive chunk that's just sort of cracked and taken out. Yeah.
Does it look like something I could reasonably make, the runners at the least?
The runners are about 9 feet long. If you had the right tools and the right method and the right material and enough of the right material, you could probably make one, but it would take a while.
Any chance we could get going on it by just patching it up?
Can I think of any experience from my family that I might know for this?
I mean, like, it's like, okay, so generally speaking, like, stonemasonry is a relatively large part of dwarvish culture in general. Your family is no exception to that. But your family isn't specialized. One of the big things about your family is a bit of a jack of all trades situation going on there. There is maybe a few different like stonemasonry lessons that you're aware of, but none of them majorly work in obsidian because practically speaking, a lot of the time it's a very brittle material that is only really feasible for jewelry, essentially.
We're probably gonna have to ask the other guy.
You're not forgetting you've got an engineer in the party.
I mean, feel free to take a look. I don't think you've worked with obsidian sleds before, but go for it.
Think about
I mean, you
roll
could-
me a. Actually, you have a feat that helps with this, don't you?
You gain advantage related to mining, excavation, and general knowledge of gems, ores, and natural gases.
Oh, well, mining engineer.
Baby.
Okay, yeah. Roll me an investigation check with advantage. Ooh!
17,
17
well,
plus.
17 plus, where the hell's my investigation button? 1, so 18.
18. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. While not a material that you've worked with before, it's certainly something that you could put your hand to. Like, it's definitely not the easiest material to work with. But again, given the right tools and maybe a little bit of help from like a dwarvish craftsman, you could make something. You could make this work if you have the right material and you know where to get the right material.
So he just kind of looks over at the other ones and goes, I could probably do something. I need, the right bits and bobs, but I could certainly try and cobble something together.
Do you need those in any particular format, or can I just bring you a big enough chunk?
I mean, if you can get a chunk that's roughly the right length and shape. Don't just bring me like a 20-foot long piece of obsidian. You know?
Prod, you doing anything this afternoon?
Nope. Well, I'll be bringing the. Someone needs to keep an eye on the librarian the whole time. Sorry, I don't really like it here. It's just so fucking weird. Yeah, I'll help.
Yeah.
Alright, Ingvar, keep an eye on the librarian while we're out, I guess.
He just gives him a mock salute sort of thing.
Okay. Darren and Rod, you both sort of set out, I'm guessing, into the Ashfold itself. If that is what you plan to do.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Going to that nearest big spiky bit and grabbing some rock off it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The two of you set out into the Ashfold. Eventually, about 100 to 200 feet away, you come across this massive sword that has been plunged into this sort of outcropping of rock. This jagged-looking blade that is... Like, you notice as you're looking at it, there's this faint scintillating glow that goes down the middle of the obsidian. It's not, as far as you can tell, magic, but you do notice that, like, at some point within this blade, there are these two large carvings that look like what could have been used to make the runners on the sled.
Well, that's a
Alright.
good sign.
You take a look in, and you do notice that there are, like, chisel marks that are all the way up these carvings. Do either of you have any, like, stoneworking tools or anything like that?
I mean, it wasn't
I
something I was
don't.
carrying with me.
Do either of you have
Um,
anything that you could use to chisel out a section of this blade?
I mean, we could use your knife, and then
I do have a regular dagger in addition to my returning one.
yeah, if we use your dagger and kind of use it as a bit like a chisel. I believe, a club somewhere. I could bash the end of it, chisel out a.
Okay. And if it, you guys can definitely try.
We're gonna definitely try.
Might as
Alright.
well.
Roll me. Okay. This is going to be a two-person job. I need Darren to roll me dexterity to position and adjust the chisel as needed. And I need Prod to roll me strength to be able to hit this makeshift chisel hard enough to actually be able to damage this obsidian blade.
Would want to argue that this is actually an athletics check because to swing/throw the hammer is a type of athleticism, and I would be doing that in this particular instance. You can say no.
I will allow this because athletics requires more precision than just sheer strength. So I will allow that. You may roll athletics.
Fuck yeah, baby! Hwah! That's a 19.
Okay.
Now a good time to remind folks that I'm exhausted and I have disadvantage on all ability checks as a consequence.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you did spend the entire night drinking. This is
I
on
know.
you.
Yep.
I can't use any of my spells to help you. Wish I could.
Buzz is possibly talking to Lang at the moment.
Oh.
Right. Let's see how this turns out. 8.
Okay. So,
I'm gonna lose some fingernails.
Prod, you ready this, like, makeshift hammer as a club. You bring it down across, like, the pommel of Darren's dagger, and it sinks in. And, like, for the first, like, 10 or so hits as you're going down the edge of, like, this section that you're carving out, it's going really well. Until Darren accidentally, like, jams it in the wrong way, and suddenly it slides across, like, diagonally across the area where you're cutting, leaving this massive gash mark, completely ruining an hour's worth of work. And making that section of obsidian useless.
I just look at Darren, and like you've never really seen Prod pissed off, other than like in battle. But he just like looks at you like, the fuck, man.
At this point, Darren, you're relatively sober.
Well, at least there's more of the big hacking sword we can use.
Yeah.
You want to take the dagger this time, or should I?
Even though you have strong and sexy muscles, I do believe that mine are slightly stronger, and maybe perceived by others slightly sexier.
Okay.
And I just like give you back the thing and be like, we'll try again. It's fine.
Okay. Roll it again. You don't have to do this today, as a note.
Or
Prod, roll me.
I'm not even gonna roll.
You're not
I'm not
even
even
gonna
gonna roll.
no, you gotta see how bad it is.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. If Prod chooses not to roll, like they don't have to roll.
I see that Darren is
You see that
too tired to do
you see
this.
that Darren is like holding this knife and has like their palm pressed against the blade to keep it steady, and you're just looking at it and going, if I hit that, I'm gonna chop his hand off by accident. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh god, okay, no, we can't do this now. We should either like come back later or something like that. And you're just like,
We'll come back
yeah.
later.
I
don't like spending too long in a foreign place, especially because it's making everyone feel so fucking weird.
Yeah.
But if we can't make it over tonight, we're not going to be able to make it over tonight.
Okay. You do notice that... you do notice that the daylight hours seem to be a lot less than they were down in Matina. Not as like low amount of daylight as there was back in back up north, but it does feel like daylight is quickly and rapidly disappearing at this point. You guys have been here for maybe like an hour and a half, and like you woke up relatively late-ish, like around 9, 10 a.m. You were talking till 12-ish. Went to look at the sled, all that. So now it's about like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it looks like the sun is already going down, which feels very fast. So
We
the
can't
both
stay here.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I go to Darren. We can't stay here. The light's going down. I don't trust whatever the fuck those eel things are. Unless we make some stilts of our own. And then I start thinking about stilts. We should head back. Let's head back.
Okay.
And is there just like a loose bit of like stuff that I can like?
That's
just
the first chunk we chopped off.
Yeah. We'll take the wrong bit.
Okay, you look around, like, you didn't actually manage to chop the bit off, but, like, you got, like, halfway down one side of it, and then you accidentally, like, veered across the middle, and it made it basically. But you look around, like, the base of the sword, and you notice that there's little bits and pieces, like, maybe not, like, the 9-foot length you need, but, like, there's little, like, 1-foot pieces from where you notice someone tried this multiple times before they got those 2 lengths out in, like, full condition. So this is, like, despite the fact that you guys fucked up on your first time, whoever did it before you had plenty of times, because this blade is fucking massive, as you can see by the giant sword on screen. But it's like, you can see that whoever did this multiple times in a row. Like, those 2 were not their first attempts. But there are small chunks of, like, 1-foot long obsidian chunks that you can pick up from around the base. If you want to take one of those.
Yeah, I pick up like 1 or 2, just to, like, give to Ingvar to, play with, essentially.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. So you pick up these 2 like, you notice that while the obsidian is, like, it's a relatively heavy material, but it's not as heavy as you expect. Feels lighter than you would expect a big piece of stone to feel like, essentially. So you pick up these 2 relatively hefty pieces of obsidian, and you both head back to the village. I would like you both to make me a survival check, please, as you're traversing back.
Does that count as an ability check, or is that a skill check?
Abilities and skills are the same thing.
I'm at disadvantage for that as well, then. Gotcha. There's my obsession with role-playing. 11.
13.
Okay.
Walk without rhythm. Walk without rhythm.
Not below a 10. So you're both okay. You managed to, like, it's not a far distance. the further the distance is, the higher that skill check is going to be, basically, is what I will tell you. But you both manage to get back, like, you walk back towards the tavern, and you see someone standing on the back porch. A tall figure with the body of a snake, who is sort of sitting there with a fishing rod. And you notice, like, out the back of the tavern, there's this... It's not a very big hole, but it looks like there's this large sort of watering pond type thing out the back, with this, like, murky grey water. And you see, like, this Medusa sitting on the back with a fishing rod.
Okay, interesting.
Prod, I think to drink in like the last 3 hours. Are you seeing that as well?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Okay, right.
Ingvar? Is Ingvar... Wait,
Ingvar?
where is Ingvar?
Ingvar
Ingvar's
is
up with it.
With the librarian.
up with the
Yeah.
librarian,
Yeah,
and your
librarian.
communication rings don't work.
Don't work.
No, they don't. Okay. Well, don't look at her directly in the eyes. That's all I'm aware of.
As you
And
guys
other than-
approach the edge of the pond, this snake-like figure raises a hand to you and goes, "Travelers, welcome. I missed you yesterday. I am Gale. I am a settler in these lands. Do not worry, do not worry. My petrifying gaze is nullified by the surroundings. It is why I chose to settle here, you see. I dislike causing people so much pain and anguish. It is unbecoming of someone of my kind nature."
Oh, I love her. I literally turn to Darren and say that. Like fully in earshot, don't care. And I sort of start to prance up the stairs like, oh my god, there's a new friend.
I'm gonna
Okay.
go to Ingvar.
Okay, so
with at least one lump of obsidian.
you head up to Ingvar, and you, Prod, get to talk to Gale, who is the oldest settler here in... I just realized that's the wrong mini. Huh. Hold on. I've grabbed the wrong mini for you, Prod.
Oh, yeah, that's not Big Prod.
That's not Big Prod.
That's OG Prod right there.
That's OG Prod, yeah.
Something was weird.
What? Where?
I couldn't put my finger on it. Couldn't figure it out.
I wonder, I feel like I don't even know you.
Here we go.
Oh, she's so pretty.
There we go. There's Big Prod.
Ah, there I am. Gorgeous.
You walk up to her, and she introduces herself. She says, "I am Gale. I am the oldest settler here in Ashfold. It is a pleasure to meet you. I hope Gerald gave you a warm welcome to our little settlement."
Practically glowing.
I am very glad.
Uh,
And you see, Gale is a Medusa, but she is old. Like, Medusa are very long-lived creatures in general. You know this to a certain degree. Her, like, scales are graying, and it's very dusty, and that might be partly contributing to the gray, but also, her skin is slightly mottled, she's got slightly sagging cheeks, Her eyes are wizened. She has little smile lines and crow's feet. If you were to judge her age, you would put her at about, like, human-wise, maybe in her late 70s.
Hell yeah.
And, I mean, Medusa-wise, that's around 600. So she's long-lived.
I come and sit next to her as she does fishing and ask about what she's fishing and, you know, to ask her to tell me her story, essentially.
She sort of points into the pond, and for a second you see, like, this glimmer of silver. And she says, it is one of our more reliable food sources here in the Ashfold. These are, you see those little silver flashes in the water. Those are, how to put this, those are juvenile dust eels. Before they grow and start to shift their way through the dust of the Ashfold, they are spawned in pools like these across the plains. There are tunnels and crevices that go throughout the underneath of the plains. Luckily, we've never had a full-grown dust eel spawn in this pool before. Fingers crossed that doesn't happen. But it is a better source of our... And as she says that, you watch as the line grows taut, and she goes, here we go. And she starts pulling in the line. And you see this silver-scaled... It's not really an eel, but it does remind you of a moray eel. It has these, like, flashing silver scales along its body. It doesn't have fins, though. It has these little, like, 4 digigrade arms, like, that are at the front of its body, like 2 on, like, the lower section and then 2 on the upper section behind it, that it seems to use to, like, pull itself through the dust. It has this, like, little snout with these whiskers that come off the edge that seem to feel around, and you watch as she reels it in. It has these really sharp little teeth that are grasping onto, like, whatever this lure is that Gale is using to fish in this little pond. And she pulls it up, and you watch as she grabs this hammer from beside her, slams it down on the rock in front of her, and smashes its head into pieces.
Nice!
And you look at it, and, like, you watch as, like, the head sort of slides back into the water, and you suddenly see this feeding frenzy of little juvenile dust eels that are climbing over themselves to feed on the remains of their brethren. And you watch as another of the dust eels gets nicked, and suddenly all of them are going on to that one as well and just consuming it. And she said, and Gale says, the circle of life. What? Sorry, where was I? Oh, yes. I came here, and my story. Oh, very, very old story. I was here long before the first settlement. I had a little stone cottage. I'm cold-blooded, you see. The eels don't care for me. But when when more human people came along, in the past few, it was 30 years ago, maybe, I warned them that warmth attracts the eels, but they didn't listen, of course. I never listened to the old folks. Nobody listens to old Gale. But I told them that they needed to build cold or high or something But they didn't believe me, and then one of their houses gets eaten, and it's Gale's fault now, because... but eventually we came to an understanding, and we started building on stilts and stuff. I still have a little house out in the waste somewhere, but I mainly stay here. It's better living, you see. More comfortable. Little stone house is very cold. And I like a warm fire on occasion, and having it high up means that the eels don't feel it. So it's a win-win-win, you know? But yes, no, I've been here for a few years, settled down. There were a couple of Naga who came through once, formed a little colony for a time. But the living is hard, you see. Living is very hard out here, and we can't always sustain large amounts of people, especially if we're just subsisting off of dust. So occasionally we send out the sled, but the sled has been broken for months now, and we're mostly subsisting off of dust eels, except for the people who left. I don't know what happened to them. But we survive. We're good at that, you know? Everybody here is running from something, and I'm just running towards people who don't get turned to stone the moment they look at me. It's a terrible way of making friends, you know. And yeah, she spends a couple of hours regaling you with various stories.
Beautiful. Throughout this regalement, Prod very gently prompts her to talk more about, the Naga who were here, and exactly when they were here, and sort of what they were kind of doing.
She tells
you
you
it must be really interesting to have,
She tells you that
around.
they were here about 15 years ago. A very long time ago.
Okay.
A tribe of Naga were passing through and had taken up residence in the area because it was a relatively quiet place to live. But then they moved on, headed further north, because the dust, despite the dust fields, the fields of the Ashfold being relatively okay for living, it's a bit of a hard life with the food situation. And water is scarce and only really found in these little pools that are scattered throughout the plains. And living near one always is risky because of the spawning habits of the dust eels and how big those can get. So eventually they moved on.
Okay. He's also gonna sort of he's gonna sort of just be super sweet to her, and also inquire about the religious practices of people here.
Okay.
Mostly because in a place where you can't actually connect with the gods, how are people religious? It's
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Fascinating.
You talk to her a little bit about that, and she says, I mean, we have one or two god worshippers, but they very much do it in their own homes, and they're not often. Most of the people who come here have no belief in the gods at all. They choose to live for themselves. Although, in fairness, a lot of the people who come here are very rough types, if you will. Always trying to find an escape from divine or arcane magics and all of that sort of thing. You understand, it's very difficult out in the world when so many people have these magics and these powers, and you just want to get away from it all. That's why people come here. That's why people would live here, I think, anyway. But we do have one or two,
place to live.
you know. We do have a cleric. We have a cleric in town, though they mostly act as a healer. No magical healing, of course, just natural healing. See, medicines and poultices and or bandages and all of that. Though in fairness, if a dust eel gets you, there's not much he can do. At that point, you're probably being digested. Yeah.
Okay. She like I love talking to old ladies with a story, so does Prod. So he'll just continue to very lightly chat to her,
Okay.
and yeah, we'll probably do that all as long in the evening as she will entertain it.
As you chat, she's like fishing up a variety of juvenile dust eels. At one point, she goes, "Oh, this is a plump one," and you see one that's easily like 3 feet long. And like she smashes its head with a hammer, and it's still breathing, so she smashes it again. This is very violent action for like this 75-year-old lady to be doing. In the meantime, Darren and Ingvar, you two are up in like your room. Ingvar, you have been handed this pair of long, sort of obsidian hexagonal like chunks, essentially. And what are you two doing?
Alright, that is part of the big old sword obsidian thing. We had a bit of trouble getting more off because apparently I'm completely useless. So we'll sleep on it and try again tomorrow, probably.
Fair enough, fair enough. These are sizable chunks. I could probably do something with these.
It's
I'm not
practice
entirely
and
sure
nothing
what
else.
yet. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Do you want to try
There's
and...
been no
Go ahead.
I was just going to say there's been no real change in the library.
Yeah, no, the librarian's still like sheen of sweat and rolling around nightmares, but mostly just like running what seems to be a mostly normal fever from the magic. What would you like to try and craft from these chunks of obsidian? Because you have 2 of these chunks at the moment, you get 2 tries for practice, and I'll say the more you practice, the easier the final attempt will be, essentially. So yeah. I should say, the more you practice successfully, the easier the final attempt will be.
Oh no.
So yeah. You can take help from Darren, who has the stone something feat, or class trait.
Cunning feature.
Cunning feature.
Racial trait, actually, but yeah.
Racial trait. Oh, yeah, because you keep that despite being
Because I'm a dwarf.
Yes, and even even if Darren wasn't here, you'd still get like advantage from the Hopewell mining engineer feat. So either way, you would get advantage. If you want to send Darren off to do something else, or if Darren wants to do something else while you're like practicing, that's up to you guys. But in the meantime, these 2 chunks of obsidian are definitely not big enough even to fill the space on the runner. But you can certainly make something out of them if you want to. So if you want to try and make something, tell me what you want to try and make.
Well, my first thought with one of them was to break it down and make arrowheads with it.
Okay, yeah, sure. Okay. Roll... What would this be?
That's such a sexy idea, well done.
Okay. Roll me a...
While you're thinking, I'll roll the actual 20.
Yes, good idea. Ooh, not bad. Okay, so this would have been... Sleight of hand, I think, to carve this in a way that is, especially for like such small, finicky things, sleight of hand would be correct for this. So what's the total
that gives
on
me
that?
that would give me a 23.
Okay.
My
So-
sleight of hand is +5.
The DC to beat on this would have been 20. So that's
Nice.
pretty good. You spend like the afternoon in well into like late evening carving out these small obsidian arrowheads. From the chunk that you have, after a few like starting not so great attempts, you manage to craft 25. So you get 25
Nice.
Titan obsidian arrowheads. The composition of your arrows essentially means that you can use these, but depending on what you make the rest of the arrows out of, or what you make, like you can use the arrowhead, the shaft and the tail feathers will also contribute to the overall end effect of these arrowheads when they are combined. So I won't give you the exact details of what their damage output would be yet, essentially.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So yeah, you can add 25 Titan obsidian arrowheads to your notes or inventory.
Nice.
Little bit of crafting material. You still have one chunk of obsidian left over. So if you want to try for something else on that.
Yeah, you just kind of look. I'm assuming Darren's still around.
Yeah. What are you doing, Darren? If you're...
Mildly paying attention and like half contemplating going back down to the bar. But I'm also really tired, so I'm kind of just zoning out a little bit.
He's just like
Right.
resting in a corner while the librarian tosses and turns in the other corner, and you're just like working away.
What a pair of three. He just looks over at Darren and goes, "Hey, you brought this up. Is there anything you want made out of this?"
I mean, we need just... I think we mainly need to get out of this area. I don't think it's doing us any good.
Yeah, but this isn't big enough to fill the chunk. That's the problem.
Could it maybe be like a patch of some description?
No, it's not big enough for that.
Okay. Well, arrowheads it is, I guess.
I mean,
I
mean,
okay.
I could make-
As a point...
I could make a dagger. Or anything. Ninja saws. Hackle.
Make a dagger.
Prod comes in after talking to Gale. It's like, knife?
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 Look, it could just be like a nice happy knife. Like, fuck, what do you call them? Like kitchen knife. Like, I prepare a lot of my food with my actual blade. And I mean, that thing's had a lot of really fucked up blood on it. So maybe just having a nice, like, kitchen knife would be nice.
Yeah, a couple of kitchen knives. I went to look at the inventory and my brain went, make a loaf shape. It's like, no.
Make obsidian bread.
Bread!
Jesus.
Or maybe even just like a little animal shape. And then we can give them out as gifts to any, like, fucked up Necroneer children we come across.
I will say,
Jesus.
if you make arrowheads again, you will get more arrowheads, but I will not require a skill check on that, and it won't lower your like DC the next for the runner, basically.
Yeah, I like the sound of kitchen knives, honestly.
Okay, so just a set
just-
of kitchen knives. Okay.
Yeah.
Roll me a sleight of hand check.
Whoop, off you go, dice. That's a 20.
That is an exact 20. Ooh, okay, so that's 2 successes. So that's you've lowered your DC by a certain amount. Okay. So you put together this beautiful set of obsidian kitchen knives. You've got like a long knife, you've got a carving knife, you've got a standard kitchen knife, you've got two smaller ones, you've got a bread knife as well. You managed to get the serrations into it. And admittedly, they are just like the blades and like the part that would go into a handle, because holding the obsidian is like, it is, despite it even being smooth, it is still quite sharp. So you would need to get a set of nice handles for this set of kitchen knives. However, you do have a set of Titan obsidian kitchen knife blades as well now. So yeah.
They may be used for violence. But
Stick them in the Titan obsidian.
it's cute.
Senshi would indeed like these kitchen knives, yes.
So that's what, 5 or 6 you said? One, two.
Six. Six blades. One serrated, one long, one carving, and then 3 smaller ones, essentially.
And just out of the tiniest little bit of obsidian left, he made a tiny loaf as a pendant.
Tiny loaf
Red
pendant,
pendant.
sure. I'll allow that. Why not?
Can I
Okay.
also request that maybe Ingvar makes just a tiny obsidian ring that not like a wedding ring or anything, but just like a little cute ring that I can give to my new friend Gail.
Okay.
There's like a little bit of obsidian left for that.
Yeah,
Just a
sure.
little bit.
I'll allow that. A little obsidian ring that you sand down and smooth so that those jagged edges aren't too jagged. Okay. Yeah. With all that, the day comes to an end. Is there anything you all want to do before the end of, before night, before taking a long rest?
I'm gonna try and get back to the bar.
Okay.
I am going to
Maybe
be
get blood.
waiting at the bar.
Okay. So
It's probably going to follow them down just to make sure that Darren doesn't get pissed off
okay,
again.
so
Basically.
real quick.
Everyone's in the bar.
Ingvar, you need to roll a perception check on this. Lying, you need to roll a stealth check on this. And Prod, you need to roll a constitution check on this to see whether you're still awake by the time Darren gets to the bar.
Alright.
Well, I just got a natural 20.
17 with disadvantage on my stealth.
Okay. Prod?
Sorry, give me a second.
The perception, so that's a 20. Well, that's not 20, but it's also 23.
It's a 15.
Okay. Prod, you are asleep at the bar by the time Darren sneaks down. But Ingvar, you do spot, with that natural 20, you do spot Darren as you're working on this ring, you just, out of the corner of your eye, you watch Darren just start sneaking out of the room.
I'm barely sneaking, honestly, but...
He just calls after him, "Oi, you, bed!
Yeah.
Get some rest!"
Response, Darren? Ooh, Darren hisses at you. Like, actively hisses.
I'll get Kazuma to hiss right back.
This was on the room, right?
Yeah, this
This
was
was like
in the room.
in the stables, basically.
No, Kazuma's like in the hallway. Like you step out into the hallway and this dragon just goes at you.
Evident that Lucy's a furry. Evidence locker. Put that in the evidence locker.
I have
Really
a
good hit
persona.
sound.
I've never made a secret of that.
You have a persona?
Yes.
Secret to me.
Excellent.
News to me.
I think, isn't it?
It's a ferret.
That was
Oh,
cool.
send
I
pictures
thought it was H. Bomber guy's
immediately.
thing.
Hold on. Let me... Like, Jen made me this persona years ago. And I've
H Bomber
never...
guy doesn't gatekeep personas.
Hold on.
No, you can't just have one person in the entire world gets to be a rabbit.
There you
Not a
go.
rabbit, a ferret.
Hmm.
Ah, that's so fucking cute.
Yeah, Jen made me that years ago, and I've never let it go.
I mean, you can definitely have more than one proto-gen persona, but that's because proto-gen can be manufactured.
Wow.
Anyway, yeah, Phasma growls at you, Darren.
I am gonna try and push past Casper.
Okay.
Oh.
I guess roll me a strength check, Lydia, for Chasma.
Okay, so hold on. I need to pull up roll 20 because that's my chasm she is. Sign in. Because I don't think I've got it on. Oh, yes, I do. That's going to come under Invo, but never mind. So you said strength, didn't you?
Yeah.
So that's 19.
19 strength. Chasma, like, opens his wings in this very narrow hallway and just stares you down, Darren. Roll me a strength or dexterity check to try and get past. Or athletics or acrobatics, if you want.
Either way, it's just a 2, so... Dexterity or acrobatics? 5.
Yeah, you try and, like, jump over and just get battered by a massive pair of silver wings.
Get some rest, he reiterates. You're practically asleep on your feet.
We'll drink when we get to Necronia.
I'm going to persuade the customer, and I'm going to use my Draconics on it.
Okay. I mean, you can try, but it will be against, like, Asma's will and the will to be persuaded. So that question comes down to...
I can use forceful presence to give myself advantage on it once per long rest.
I will allow this because Chasma is not technically a player character. If you were trying to do this against Lydia, I would have said that does not work.
Absolutely.
But because Chasma is technically not a player character,
I'm trying to
allowing
persuade
this.
the party dog to move aside, basically.
You can try.
Right.
Are
My
we doing
advantage
an alcoholic arc?
My advantage
it's very possible
from
it's starting.
forceful...
Yeah.
The advantage from forceful presence negates the disadvantage from exhaustion, so I can just roll this straight. That is going to be a 23.
17.
23.
23, okay. I need Chasma to roll insight. Feels weird to say. That feels very weird to say. Yeah, I need Chasma to roll me insight.
Never mind.
Ooh! Chasma gets very confused and just sits down and starts nibbling on his tail.
Ingvar just goes, what the fuck did you just do to my dragon?
Good, dragon. I'll bring you back a leg of lamb or something from the bar.
Can't say I didn't try.
Okay, you head
You could
down...
literally go after him!
He just kind of points at the librarian. Huh?
Well,
Someone's gonna
you
keep an eye on
can't
him.
hear that because Prod is
Yeah,
asleep
this
at
is
the
just
bar.
Alfie talking. This
Yeah.
is just Alfie talking. Prod's asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well,
He would go after Darren, but he's got a librarian to look after.
Yep. Darren, you
Yep.
go down to the bar and you see Prod asleep at the bar.
Can I previously say that I told the barkeep, hey, don't let him drink again. It would be bad.
The barkeep nodded
I've
at
given
you.
that man a lot of money.
The barkeep nodded
Yeah.
at you placatingly, but the money.
The money. Like, I understand, but Prod would have done it anyway.
Yeah. So Darren, Prod is asleep at the bar.
I make my way down the stairs, and as I'm turning down from the left to turn to the bar, I see Prod just splayed out across like 2 bar stools and partially the bar itself, and just like, walk over to the bar, and as I'm taking a seat on a stool, I will pull Prod as best I can off of the bar and clunk to the floor.
Okay, this is likely... Okay, Prod, roll me a constitution check to see whether or not you wake up. The higher you roll on this, the more likely you are to not wake up.
Well,
If you roll low...
that's a 7, motherfucker!
That's a 7. You feel yourself being moved and thrown to the floor.
Aggressively, just kind of like casually more than anything else, but nonetheless.
What?
You wake up and you see, like, Darren is standing over you.
The fuck, bro?
Prod, what are you doing on the bar?
Waiting for you!
I'm here. Go to bed.
No, come on, man. Look, I'm fucking tired as well. You... I can't control your life. And I don't want to control your life, because I like the fact that my friends are my friends, because they get to control it themselves. I don't like the fact that you've been putting this fucking party in danger by making us stay here due to the fact that you can't do shit because you've been fucking hungover. Am I allowed to be angry about this?
Yep.
By all means.
Can you...
I am not drinking to be drunk right now. I am drinking to forget that I have been a complete pointless waste for the last 30 years.
You haven't.
I just found out I could have solved most of my problems without even leaving my hometown. I would have got to be there when my mother died. Instead, I apparently was the only person who didn't know that there was just a convenient cave I could spend a month in, and problem solved. I have been doing things uphill, knowing I was supposed to be going the opposite direction. So I'm just trying, for the moment, to deal with that revelation of my complete absurd pointlessness by making myself forget it for at least a couple of days.
Tough shit.
I hold nothing against you. To be clear, you're just the messenger of this.
Yeah. Okay. I can see how that's difficult. And it is difficult. And I love you. I do, genuinely. I swear to Callist. I swear on my own veins. Okay? And I think you're great. And I think you being a dragon is great. And I think you being trans is great. And I love you. I need you to not be a shithead. I need you to not be drunk or drink to forget. I need you to be conscious. I need you to be here. I need you to be with your friends. Right now. Because otherwise, we are going to die. Like, no offense. This place is anti-magic. Our most powerful player here, you might have noticed, is out. I can't do shit. My swords don't fucking work right now. My armor doesn't do shit like it normally does. My bandages, they're kind of cool, but also it's nice that they're not trying to strangle me right now, but also their power is gone. Stop laughing.
No, I just saw just the gift lady.
We are going to die!
We are going to die.
Sad face at the end.
Okay. You need to be awake, sober, not hungover, and on your best fucking behavior, so we don't get eaten by fucking eels right now. I understand you have shit to deal with, and I love you, and I understand that this is fucking hard, but you cannot be doing this right now. Save it. I will get very drunk with you later.
Lost track of how many times I've nearly died. I think it's somewhere in the dozens. Somewhere. I got called a coward at one point by someone who was actually quite substantive to this party because I was trying to get where I am now and not die in the process. Honestly, I feel like parts of this story would have been a lot more interesting if I died in a ditch at some point, but I don't know what would count as an ignoble defeat at this point. But you're right. I shouldn't be dragging all of you down with this. I'll try and stow it at least until Necronair.
Stow it till Necronair. I also don't want you just to become somebody who drinks to forget all the time. I had a friend, and they're no longer my friend, and that was the hardest thing. Like, 'cause at Killist, we like a party, but it kills people, man.
A lot of
That's
things
what
do, and I've been a few of them.
Yeah.
I will knock on the bar and I guess go back to bed.
Okay.
See you in the morning.
Okay. All right.
Prod goes to bed.
Mm-hmm. All right. Ingvar?
The question is, does Darren
I
come
was
back?
just going to stay up just a tad longer. He's got to let out a right, essentially, at some point.
Okay.
Just make sure his son and uncle... Uncle? No, wrong one. Well, his son's uncle, his brother's
Yeah.
safe after what happened on the airship.
Okay. You compose a letter. There's nowhere to really send it here, so you'll probably have to send it when you get to Necronair. You put together a... And,
Yeah.
and with that, we're going to close it for this session. Thank you all very much for joining us this evening. I hope you all enjoyed the drama. And we are going to call it here for the night. We will be back, as usual, on a Wednesday, 2 weeks from now. Hopefully on the normal time slot, not on a Thursday. And hopefully with our entire party present next time, not just 3 of us and one very ill person. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much for joining us this evening. I hope you all had fun. And we are going to go and raid a Lounable who's currently playing some Outlast Trial. Thank you all very much for watching. Have a very good evening, everybody, and a very good night. And we shall see you all next time for some more Shadows of Sorcery. Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah.
Say goodbye, my intrepid heroes.
Goodbye, my intrepid heroes.
Bye.
Till next time.
I'm
And
so
we're
sorry, everybody. I'm so sorry for being so bad.
Roleplay
I think Darren was
comes
kind of
in
not
many
having an
different
and grumpy.
forms.
Hello? Oh, hang on.
Yeah, come on in.
Yeah, that Darren's going through stuff, and it was so tempting for me to just say, like, Darren does the mechanically advantageous thing for the party. But also it feels like it'd be better if, like, he tried to do what he wanted to do and people stopped him.
Yeah,
No, it
like,
makes sense.
Was that coward thing from when Ingvar got really pissed that he tried to run away when Gil died?
No, it was the last night Rakan was with us.
Yeah, it was Horace. Horace called
Ah.
called Darren a coward for staying away from combat for so many encounters, for like staying at the back, and then
Yep.
Horace left, and it pretty big impact there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was. I just thought it was the time Ingvar got really pissed when Darren ran away when Gilk died.
I mean, it didn't help.
No,
But also I couldn't have helped. So.
no,
Yeah.
true. But
In
still.
that occasion.
In that
But
occasion,
Horace is like-
I was railroading you guys pretty hard on that occasion, actually.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
kind of on me.
Yeah. Horace, like, having this, like, complete misread of Darren's motivation was, like,